Welcome to Monday, December 5th, 2022, your day with the podcast, brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Also being brought to you by WYDOT. Remember, when there's ice and snow, take it slow. Sign up today for the Wyoming Travel Authorization Program. It's going to be an active weather pattern as we look ahead here over the next week or two. What do I mean by active? Well, there's going to be several weather systems to contend with about every 2 or 3 days. This is going to bring occasional Pacific moisture and occasionally Canadian air. So what this means is off and on mountain snow, a little bit of snow shower activity on the plains. We really don't expect a lot to get east of the divide, a little bit. Montana, North Dakota, though, you're going to see some moderate snowfall here over the next couple of days as that collision between Pacific moisture and Canadian air is going to be moving on in. Now, the back and forth between some Canadian influence and Pacific influence means up and down temperatures. A little bit of weather whiplash where you'll have a mild day or two, then you'll have a couple of colder days and kind of back and forth. Mountains are going to be favored the best for snow. Mountain snow is going to be off and on all week and next week. So that'll continue to help the ski slopes and help the snowpack. And across the United States, it's going to be getting busy. Busy meaning these weather systems, this active weather pattern, will bring rain, snow, and ice to parts of the United States, especially areas that haven't seen much lately, especially Great Lakes, parts of the Midwest, and the northeastern United States. And this will cause some travel concerns if you'll be flying over the next week or two. So it's going to be getting, well, like winter across the lower 48 states. Today's satellite imagery shows a swirl of clouds right here over Northern California. There's an upper level low right here. This is the moisture that's getting pushed out ahead of it that will be causing some snow in the mountains of the west and a little bit on the plains. We'll show you that here in a minute. Up here in Canada, you really can't see it, but there's an Arctic push coming this way. So there's a bit of a convergence of this moisture from the Pacific that'll go up over on top of the Arctic air pushing in from the north and east. And a lot of that moisture producing a lot of lenticular clouds. This kind of looks like a mushroom cloud. Nice shot there out of Laramie looking east to lenticular clouds all stacked up on top of each other. And a lot of this moisture coming in off the Pacific will produce a fair amount of mid and high level cloudiness here over the next couple of days. So you can see the low there out of Northern California, this blue area right here. And you see this green? This is the push of Arctic air. This is the Arctic air boundary that's wanting to head to the southwest. So as that Pacific moisture goes over the Arctic boundary, that's where you're going to see most of the precipitation. And this is by Tuesday morning. So you can see that low is still there, pushing moisture in, colder air coming in like this. So what'll happen is we're going to see that very cold air. Look at that. Woo, look at all that purple up there. So going to be very cold there in Alberta and Saskatchewan into Manitoba. Then that cold air gets into eastern Montana, North Dakota, and that Arctic air also gets as far south as northeastern areas of Wyoming. So you can see there's kind of a battle between the Pacific air that's not as cold and the Arctic air up there. And the end result is going to be kind of smattering, a little disorganized smattering of precipitation. But you can see lots of greens and blues there. You see this very persistent band right here across Montana into North Dakota, getting into maybe extreme northeastern Wyoming. Well, this is where the Arctic air is going to intersect with that Pacific moisture the most. So what you're going to have is a widespread, moderate snow event with some very cold temperatures up here over the next 48 to 60 hours. But the deeper Arctic air is going to just stay off the front range. But notice there's a little strip of snow shower activity tonight and tomorrow morning that goes across southern Wyoming into the southern panhandle of Nebraska. Interstate 80 affected, Wyoming's western mountains. Look at the mountains of Utah and Colorado. The northern areas of California going to get more precipitation. And this is through Wednesday afternoon. So you can see the snow up into Montana, North Dakota, northern South Dakota into Minnesota. So pretty good snows up there with that Arctic air. And then the mountains getting more precipitation. But you get into the plains areas here, there's just not a lot going on because this is a pattern that favors the mountains the more. Now on Thursday, that same low comes through, might have some snow showers in some areas during the day Thursday as that wave moves through. Look at this. We have the blocking high up by Greenland again. We have the blocking high in the eastern Pacific. So this again is going to keep the active weather across North America, keeping it very busy. This is by next weekend. We see another push of cold air coming in with a low pressure off the Pacific. The block is still over Greenland, still area of high pressure over the eastern Pacific. Look at all these lows. What we have in this pattern is a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. What tends to happen with these blocking patterns is you tend to have what we call undercutting lows, where the lows come in and they kind of break off from the main jet stream and they kind of undercut the main areas up here. And this is a situation to where you can end up with large winter storms somewhere. And this is a pattern that's probably going to be with us up to through Christmas week. So this is why we say it's a busy weather pattern. But trying to place where these storms are going to be is going to be tricky. This is why we warned you last week to be careful with long-range forecast. This undercutting pattern, where you get these lows undercutting the main jet stream, is a situation that can be quite tricky. Over the next 10 days, this is the precipitation forecast. Look at all this precipitation right here. And this is where we're going to have some problems with travel. I'll show you that in a minute. The Pacific Northwest and the mountains there continue to have a flow of moisture. There's just not a lot on the plains. You can see there's kind of an area east of the mountains here where there's not a lot. And I think that's what's going to happen, at least initially. But that doesn't necessarily mean there won't be a large storm coming through this area sometime over the next couple of weeks to the next 3 weeks. We'll keep an eye on it. When you look at the snow over the next 10 days, oh boy, so here we go. The snow's getting further south now, going right down Interstate 80 in eastern Nebraska, across the Corn Belt in the Midwest, the northeastern United States. Some of the metro areas now could be affected by winter weather conditions. Snow areas getting all the way down into the deeper south now as well. So this is why we caution you, if you're going to be traveling across the country over the next 7 to 10 days, and really over the next 21 days, there's going to be a lot to contend with. This is out to 10 days. This is what I was talking about. Lots of lows, lots of waves in the weather pattern. And if we took a look at the whole northern hemisphere, see how wavy it is? We have a lot of waves in the weather pattern. This is going to make it a stormy pattern, a stormy period of time here across the northern hemisphere, but on our side of the globe especially. So stay tuned. Our podcasts are going to change daily with all this stuff going on. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.